Welcome to Strong Talk Podcast. This is the second time we attempt to do this. We may or may not release the first one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be one of those haunted episodes that we just talk about.
We'll just
Kale
pretend
got way too political.
Kale got way too political. But I am Kalle Beck. This is Robert Oberst. If you do not know of us, we did this same podcast like a decade ago, back when it was just like a few people doing it, and we did it badly enough that it never caught on. But
well, we kind of stopped too. We were doing okay, but man, we had a lot of fun back in the day when that was back when I had less of a censor, and we said some wild stuff.
I think it's not that. I think you probably say wilder stuff now. It's just I feel like everything was a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
not better for us personally, but like more fun and goofy, like kind of pre-kids and life.
Yeah,
and
sillier version of us.
Yeah, we're definitely more silly.
Yeah.
We want to do, start to do this again. I feel like it's the only way that like two guys that are near 40 can like still have a friendship that they talk about, unless they like show up to drink together, play golf, or like do something else. And we live too far away to do that. So basically we're just doing this to like give us an excuse to actually talk to each other for about an hour once a week. Mm-hmm. And we may or may not release it to everybody.
And people could listen to the weird stuff we talk about. We're going to do our best to stay on track with some things. Like we'll talk a little bit. The show's not, we've kind of decided the show's not going to be about strongman. This isn't a strongman show. This is two strongman athletes, two guys who are in that world, of course, so it'll come up plenty. We're not going to run from it, but it's more of a show about, two guys. It's two friends, two dads, and me and Kale are very different, yet we're very alike. We care about each other very much, and we just end up always having good conversations. So for me, it's not even a strongman show. It's all like bro talk. So
yeah, it's just fun, and it'll be strongman adjacent.
Yeah,
the way I see it, and it's our background. So of course we'll have stories about it. We've met everybody that there is, and have been around and seen things, and try to unsee things.
Yeah, and it's not like we're going to run from it. Like right now, I'm sure we'll talk about. We just got done with Masters World's Strongest Man. Did you catch any of it?
Yeah, I didn't watch the live stream. I just don't really have the time to do that, but I see the highlights posted, what like Giants Live and Official Strongman puts up on like Instagram, and
got a record.
Yeah, Mark Felix in the 50 plus.
Mm-hmm. Mark Felix won the 50 plus too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got first place. The only video of the 50 plus I saw was him doing the hold, and he got in a record there.
Yeah, shocking. Mark Felix got it.
Mark Felix has got good grip, in case anyone hasn't noticed. His fingers are so ridiculous. Like I've seen 100 videos of people talking about this guy's hand, but like I've got a thick hand. I've got a meaty palm, like decently sized fingers, but nothing crazy, right? When you shake my hand, you can feel the meat in the palm. That's what everyone always like. Oh, your palm's so big, whatever. But Mark's got like a second finger on top of my finger. It is the weirdest thing. Like I think he could probably put his hand around a basketball and almost touch tips. He's like just right there.
He probably could touch tips, and comparatively, I have small hands because I'm a foot shorter than you.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was funny when we were competing. Is like I weighed what you did in kilograms. If I was like 180 some pounds, you're 180 kilos.
Yeah. That's crazy. I never thought about that. That is crazy. And we bang together. For those of you who haven't been following us for 20 years, Kale and I, we got down and dirty, like we would destroy ourselves. And I'll tell you what, like with the car deadlift, I don't think there's like a match, right? So like Kale Kale didn't overhead press as much as me, but when we put the car deadlift on, it didn't matter if Kale weighed 180 and I weighed 440. Whatever I was going to pull, he was going to pull it for several reps. And he's just a car deadlift master.
It's a funny thing with that one because like you'd like post the videos, like I was posting like strongman training videos like back then, like compilations, like we'd all go and I'd like go and edit it off my flip camera and put it up. Like this is like what I was doing that like 2007, 8, even. I did it like before we met, like there's like, and like I'd put it with that. And like no one cared when I first put those out when it was you because you were just like that you were an amateur and you're still coming up like, but like as soon as you're all like on the History Channel, people went on those like old YouTube videos and started saying all the reasons why I still suck, even though I'm like,
So retroactive
yeah,
shit.
like this is 10 years old.
Like, look at this weak piece of shit. You're like, that was the strongest I ever was.
Yeah. I'm like, first off, I'm like 185 pounds in this video. Like literally, like we said, I weighed in pounds what you weighed in kilos. Like, am I shorter? Do I have to pick it up less? Yeah, but like you also have to like that was the things like they say all the reasons why I
People
cheated.
complain about the range of motion. Of
Oh
course, it's the same thing as like, if you go to a powerlifting meet and a guy's got short arms or whatever, like, yeah, some people are built better for certain things, but in competition, it's all squared out pretty much. Like, you know, if you get a little advantage of the car deadlift, there'll be an Atlas stone put it on height or whatever. Like I don't like the levers argument. I don't like the body weight argument. I don't like any of that stuff because I don't really think outside of someone who's like complaining because they feel bad about themselves or someone who's just a shit talker outside of like that. And nobody cares. Nobody cares when if you were to post right now a video of you picking up a car, a video of you picking up a car, uh, the only people who would say anything bad about it are the type of people who will say anything bad about everything. Like you picking up a car is badass, no matter like who sees it, unless you're like a nanny who's worried about your back or something. Like to everybody, who cares that you're shorter? Like you're also half my weight. It's
I
like
know that was the
these
thing.
things
Was
are
like
so silly to me.
there's
Yeah.
that was the thing that I always thought was funny because and we talked about this and it was one of the things that I think you really helped me realize because like so many because everyone lifts weights when you lift it for competition they have like everyone has these like arbitrary rules of how it's supposed to be because they look at it as working out. I'm like it is not working out
Yeah.
as soon as there's a scoreboard. It's a sport.
Yeah.
So
It's
like
like that. It's very common in strongman. Like it's something that I bring up a lot. It's kind of that the mentality. It's fading fast, but that old, stoic like sort of mentality of like, I don't wear wrist straps because my hands are strong. It's like, okay, like you those people really quickly find out that, like if all you want to do is PR on your grip at an amateur show, then cool. But if you want to win that amateur show, or if you want to even just say do your best, which like that should be your goal in everything you do. Just do your best. If that's your goal, then you should really be treating it like you're trying to cut every corner possible in a show. Like if you can have straps, you should be wearing straps.
yeah,
People,
it's not your fault what the rules are. You're the athlete. You try to work as close to the limit of the rules as you can, and there you go. But like I tell like I train people and they're amateurs and like there'll be like an amateur contest and it's like their second contest and they're like, oh, should I get a deadlift suit and spend $400? I'm like, probably not, but like it all depends. But
here's something I've never talked about. Um, speaking of rules, I've never I've never seen anybody whistled or penalized for starting early, jumping the gun. I've never once seen that. And I'm about halfway through my career, I really started watching because I noticed the older guys. I noticed that earlier than halfway through my career, but I really started paying attention. The older guys, they don't wait for the go call. you know, let's say it's it's Giants or Worlds, or you're at Arnold or whatever, and the guy's going sad go. If you're not a rookie, it goes sad, and then you pick it up and you hope the guy says go, right? You can watch. You don't even have to pick a video. Just go on any Giants, any Worlds, any Arnold, any Rogue show where they're lined up next to each other. Not the Rogue, because they do like a guy next to a girl, so they're not really competing at the same weight at the same event. Well, they're doing the same thing, but they're not competing against each other. So I don't know if it's as quick to start, you know what I mean? But if you look at any of those shows, you will find at least one or two people every single show jump the start by maybe a full second and a half, which is like a ton of time. It's crazy.
It's one of the reasons I really don't like the sprint events in strongman.
Because of that?
Like like whoever does it the fastest 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, and this would happen especially at like the amateur level when there's like 60 people competing, and like 3/10 of a second will be like 8 places or something. And I'm like,
Yes.
what is that? Like everyone
Yeah.
did it the same. Like that's stopwatch. That's like, so I like it better for that reason, for a scoring reason. Keep it, if they add like a 2-part to it, like you got to carry it. Like the more you're able to separate things, right? Like if you do a yoke into a frame, or back and forth, it's going to separate it a little more.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does suck when you're at a big show. People get stacked too. It's crazy. My first nationals, we did a yoke for 100 feet, and I don't remember the weight of the yoke. I think it was like 9 or 950. And I say first nationals, I only did one. On my show, I did a nationals. I think it was 100 feet and like a 9 or 950, and I thought I did it quick. I was quick, and I looked, and I think I was in like 16th place or whatever. I was like, damn, man, 16th. And I look, first place was less than a second ahead of me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, man. Oh, actually, no, first place was like a couple seconds. But like third place through 16th was all like a second and a half apart. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, one step. I could have cheated those. Like, it's really easy to cheat those. So I definitely could have.
Yeah. And it's funny how we said we're not going to talk about strongman. We've been doing it for like 15 minutes now. we're reeling them in.
This ain't no strongman show.
Here's an hour and a half of our hot takes on strongman.
From the early 2000s.
Yeah, this is how it was. That's how we sound now.
Only pussies warm up.
Yeah, I wore jeans and boots.
Yeah.
And they did.
We competed in jeans.
A lot of
time. Out of
couple
Reno.
people.
Yeah.
We don't need to name names.
I didn't say. I said a city. He was a beast, though. He was.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing now, but he was super strong.
There's a lot of beasts, but I kind of feel like obviously it's not easier, but I want your take on this because you're an amateur for like a short time. Amateur's almost harder in a way, just because there's so many people. And like,
yeah, it's different for different reasons. Like, I feel like some guys need to stay amateur. Like some guys, they get get their pro card and they're not ready, and it's like they don't end up. There's a ton of guys who just don't get invited to anything. Right? They get their pro card, and it's like, go do America's Strongest Man, and that's the one show a year you get. There's certain shows that are are crazy. Like when you do nationals and when you do Arnold,
Arnold
it's
Amateur.
so many top tier people that it's you really have to separate yourself. Like you have to be great at everything, and then there's something you got to do that pulls you apart. That every year I've ever been to nationals in Arnold, the guy who won, he had something that was like, holy crap, that guy's he can do that, and he was great at everything else. So like Adam Shear, who is Braun Strowman in the WWE, he won my year, and he crushed everything. He was in like the top few places in everything. But then when we got into the Arnold and we did the moving event and the log for reps, it was over 3 for reps on the log, and the moving event was 2 pieces. I can't remember exactly all of it, but he won both of those by, I think he won by 2 reps on the log and by like a full, few seconds on the moving event. And if you don't have that as an amateur, like you're not going to be a national champion or an Arnold champion. Like it takes a Mike Jenkins and a Braun, an Adam Shear, to do that. So in that sort of thing, like if your goal is to be a national champion, I think that's a lot harder than it is to get to be a pro. But being a pro that competes is a lot harder than it is to just get there.
Yeah,
So it's all different stuff in different places. Some guys live off of amateur stuff, like we were saying in the Lost episode. Like there'll be a guy whose like whole identity is, he's Mississippi's strongest man, and he did Mississippi's strongest man show, and he was the only heavyweight in that show, so now he's Mississippi's strongest man. And for somebody like that, like if it sounds so rude to say, if that's cool, or if that's motivational, that should be, if you feel good about competing locally and you don't need to do all the extra stuff, you got a job, you pay for your kids and all that stuff, you don't, there's no need to do anything other than that. I feel like I rambled into a point where I'm like, I don't want to insult people who want to stay amateur. I don't want it to sound like that. I think it's a really cool thing. Like if your hobby is working out, I think that's badass. Like you don't
totally.
have to be like I'm gonna go pro or I'm gonna die trying kind of person.
I envy that. And like I should have been that. I feel like I could still be competing if I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna go crazy now. I'm just gonna like I'd be stronger overall right now, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, just through just just having that feeling of needing to prove yourself and like I gotta go get it now, it it makes the sport less fun. Like, there's these guys that are like almost 50 now and they've done like 300 shows and like they're strong, they're beasts. And I'll see him, like I have a client that's over 50 plus and he does a contest and like he's always signed up for a contest and like half the time a week before he's like, oh, my back hurts, I'll do this one in 2 weeks, and like he just goes on doing that and he lives his life and he
Yeah.
puts it in there and he goes out and he wins some masters 50 plus shows and does it like, that's aspirational to have like balance in life like that.
Yeah. Right?
Like,
Like think about the way you felt getting into like was it 2 or 3 years that you were swinging for the fences with the Arnold? Was
yeah, I did the Arnold twice.
so
But it was like 3 years though, because
it
like
was
trying to
three
qualify.
years that you were on the real chase,
Yeah,
and that you was, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I like trying to get strong. I like broing out and going crazy and getting mad because Kale made fun of me for dropping a log on my leg and all that. Like I like that kind of stuff, but you know, I don't. I don't see the same face on you now as I did at the hotel when we're trying to be ready. Like it's a different thing. So
yeah, it's not sustainable. Like I feel like you see it, and you notice, like you said, there's amateurs they go pro, and they never do anything. Because I feel like if you're trying to burn it that hot and really go at it, and I'm not even talking about supplement wise or anything, it's mindset first and foremost, like that. When I'm talking about burning it hot, like
Yeah.
I really feel like you see these people, you get like a 3-year run doing that before you get diminished return through injury or whatever. I think you can get a lot better real quick doing it like that. But it's hard to tell someone in the middle of that. They're like, hey, you probably be better off if you just like missed a nationals and let your body heal up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
nobody ever listens to that. Like
no,
I've had that conversation over and over again. There's a local guy here who he's right on the cusp of being able to go pro. And he's done Brian's show twice. He got top 10 at Brian's show with like a broken kneecap. Like
jeez,
he busts himself up, and then it seems like before they're ready to go, they're signed up and rocking. And I understand the pursuit, man. I do. I totally understand that pursuit. I totally get it, but it is it's a fickle game, and most people like you and I, we got lucky, like different reasons, different results and stuff. But like when you look at the totality of the sport that we said we weren't going to talk about, um, it's it's dicey. Like you and me, we're on the good end of that for reals. But so I think the more perspective you allow yourself to have while you're doing it, the better. Like it's I get I get a lot of shit. I want to stop talking about strongman after this, but I get in a lot of shit because I have a lot of shit to say about the sport that people don't like, and people don't usually hear. And so, like for me, I kind of stopped talking about a lot of stuff because my background is in sports, and this sport has so many little things that could be so much better. And I mean, that was kind of the whole idea of our last show was like, let's talk about what we're going to fix with strongman, and it come to find out for like the last 30 years, everybody's been trying to do that. And it's it's a way cooler sport when you look at it on the amateur level and you see people who are like, I bring my kids to the shows, they think their daddy's the strongest in the world. Like those people who are really doing the sport right, like better than I did, better than you did, like they're they're their kids are excited to go play at the gym, and then once every couple months they all have barbecue and watch each other lift and that kind of stuff. Like that's the coolest thing about this sport. So.
yeah. And I was around those people, and those are the people I looked up to when I got into it, and somehow it got lost in the translation of being
I
like in your
sucked you
20s.
in.
No,
We
I
were
was
in a
I was
car ride
in I was
coming
in
back
before
from
that.
Sacramento. We were in a car ride coming back from Sacramento, and I was like, Kale, who's the greatest? He's like, well, you got to get better first. I was like, yeah, but who's the greatest? We're going for him. And at the time, correctly so, you said Z. It has changed since then, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing, because you made the face. Last thing about strongman. Okay. Is there more than just Brian and Z is debatable to you? First, is somebody else in the debate even?
I think it's between Brian and Z.
Okay.
I think we save it for another episode to go through that.
Your choice.
Who would I pick?
Yes, you. Not who do you think's right and you have to defend it. And you to you.
I pick Z. I think we do a whole other. Let's leave it there. I pick Brian if you're able to get another season of Strongest Man in History.
Mother sucker. There's mother sucker.
But it's debatable, and I think that it's fun to have that debate. And I just think it's like it's kind of hard because we don't. That's too long of a conversation.
Yeah, it's a lot. And truthfully, if you're saying Z or Brian, I can see either of those
No
for sure.
one's
It's
wrong.
when somebody comes out and is like, Vetus Blackitis or whatever, and it's like, no, no. Or this guy or that guy. Even Pujanowski's a beast, dude, but it's not comparable. He's a monster. I think he's one of those guys that people love to talk about, and I feel like bad because I've never taken the opportunity to say something respectful in big shows when people brought him up. I've always just been
No
like,
one does though.
and I feel so bad. But he is a sav, like a monster, and I think his style's cool. I like the whole pulling hookers and coke into the bathroom and getting caught thing. Like that's rock and roll, man. Like that strongman should do that. If you don't go on the podium with white powder on your face, what are you doing there? So, like, I'm a fan.
I'm a fan too, and I have to say, I think Pujanowski is like he's like one of the least like he gets so much shit for like playing the game as it was presented to him at that time.
Smart way.
And
Like
it's
he
like
played the game better than pretty much anybody.
yeah, maybe until Eddie Hall.
Yeah,
But like dude, like he was everywhere. Like when I was doing this, like he was like you just saw his the same pose on like every bottle of everything, and he was like a literal rock star.
yeah. Jack looked good, and you know what helps make a lot of friends? Jail knows cocaine.
Dude, all right. I
Sorry,
went
cut that out.
to
I'm
I
kidding. I'm
went to
kidding.
Worlds in like as a spectator in like 2006 or whenever it was in LA. It was the year after Phil Fister won, which was like crazy
West
moment.
Virginia. Yeah.
Um, and then they had it in LA, and like Puchinowski was different. Like you watch everyone else, and they had like this mindset. I feel like most everyone else had that same mindset, like we're talking about. Like they looked at it like they're working out, and Puchinowski is like, I am a basketball player, and this is my core, and I'm gonna just do whatever I need to do to win.
Yep.
And like he wasn't nice to anyone. He was separate from everyone. Like he's the only person. Like everyone else, I remember like talked to these people who like at the time I'm like 22 or something. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, do you want to come have lunch with me? Like they're like so happy that someone's like anyone is talking to them.
Yeah.
Like because like 2006 strongman. You're like these are like micro like you're famous to like 50 people like me on the internet
Right.
really, unless you're Puchinowski. And he was over there in that corner, like you look at him and he's like, ugh, like he's like unless you were hot,
Yeah.
he's not talking to you.
No. He
But
wasn't there for that.
it's kind of cool though. Like I don't
Yeah.
mean doesn't mean he's a
I
good guy,
respect it. I
but
respect it. We're making jokes and stuff, but I respect it. Like,
yeah,
I think the way he carried himself is that's a professional athlete. Like that's perfect. And I really really respect the way he carried on afterwards. He took his momentum, started MMA, and built it to where he's making big money, filling these stadiums in Poland. And he lost to Sylvia or whatever. He's got like two losses that like okay, when you lose a fight, it never looks good. But I mean, the guy's if you're looking at success as far as like doing what you want, the guy's up there on the list. If you're looking at success as far as like monetary gain, the guy's up there on the list. If you're looking at like somebody should make a 30 for 30 about this guy, yeah, he's on the fucking list. Like,
I'd probably watch that over any other strongman athlete.
oh my gosh, his 30 for 30 would be so badass. He kind of reminds me a little of Fedor Emelianenko, the way that they're connected in the country. Like it's kind of crazy.
But more brash and like rock star like instead of stoic monk.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Fedor would have been one of the guys that like goes to lunch with you. He wouldn't talk, but he'd go to lunch with you.
Which is funny because I actually did eat lunch with Yardimic.
Academic?
Yeah. And like it was just and like he's like, can I sit here? And like we ate like like it's like you're at the hotel and like everyone eats and
Yeah.
and I thought it was cool because he was a short dude. He's like barely taller than me, and he's
Yeah.
competing there. And he's like, and we're talking about stuff like barely because he's Polish. And at the end of it, he's like, oh, I always like when the Polish come to support Polish. I'm like, I'm Polish, but I'm not Polish like you're talking about. You would have kicked me out of your country, like you did.
Hilarious.
I was like, I ain't saying nothing. Good thing I'm passable.
When you're around all those guys, you realize how many countries speak Russian. Like
Yeah.
that's the common language at Worlds more than English.
Hmm.
Between athletes, it's Russian. You know, it's always like
It's
that.
crazy.
Like, Lithuanians, Georgia,
Well,
all of Eastern Europe's blocks.
it all was kind of,
Yeah.
connected. But anyways, what have you been up to though?
Yesterday I had a good workout with Boise State and met with the strength coaches. It was awesome.
Going back to college?
Yeah, I found out I have 1 year of eligibility. I will be in the Fiesta Bowl. We're gonna mess up Georgia, and Bill Goldberg's gonna be sad. Um, no, he made a joke about me being eligible too. I mean, I used to have dreams. Football was the one that got away from me, like legit got away from me. And I used to have dreams about like I'm back in school and I've got like this championship game. I'm getting my shot and I can't find my helmet or whatever. I had dreams like that all the way up to like 30s in my 30s. And like when he made those jokes, I was like, oh no, like he's gonna put that in my head. Now I'm gonna have these dreams again. Like I finally escaped. But they were really cool, man. The facilities are awesome. They need to get new facilities. They've had them since like 2015 or something like that. But so they're really, really nice. But they're next year they're switching to the Pac-10 or Pac-12. I don't remember what it is now. It's the Pac-12, I believe. And so they get like a big bonus and all this stuff. They're up in the stadium, they're up in the gym and all that stuff. And it was just really cool. Like I I've loved football forever and I've wanted to be like my whole plan my whole life has been to be like a high school football coach. That's what I was doing when I found strongman. I moved back to Santa Cruz and I was coaching at my old high school. And being there and just seeing all that stuff, man, and getting to work with those guys, it was badass. Like there's a good team. And being in Idaho, like they're the culture. Like as far as Idaho goes, like we got potatoes and we got the Broncos, man. And they're kicking butt repping for us.
Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully it keeps panning out. And I'll say like when we were like that was like the most like happy I'd see you is like you're like, oh, meet me at like when you're helping with the high school and you're just on the sideline and like the kid says hi and like, comes up and I was like, oh, this is the most natural element Obi looks. And it kind of goes back to like how we're talking about like the people that could do strongman for a hobby. Like that you can go and just be like comfortable in an environment and feel like you're giving back and still doing like what you do. I think that'd be awesome if you're able to pursue that.
Yeah, I really hope I can. Which I got to coach for 2 years, and I still get messages from those kids, like and that stuff. That's so awesome, man. Like that to me, that's the coolest thing. Yeah, if I can find the time and sustain, like if like you said, house payments and stuff got to get handled, but like if that's handled, man, I'd love just to help kids develop and stuff. But we'll see. I'd be excited to do it. I like that kind of stuff. It's a ton of fun to just like I got to meet some of the players and all that stuff. And what's cool is like I love linemen. When I watch football and stuff, I don't watch like other people. Everybody watches the ball and the quarterback and the running backs and all that stuff. The entire time I'm focused on the lineman. Like I watch the big guy who's like trying to get his leverage over the other guy, and like I sit there while the ball's running by. I focus on those guys. And a couple of the linemen from Boise State came in and met me and stuff, and they were like big eyes and everything. And in my head, before I went to Boise, before I went into school, in my head I was like, oh man, like I felt like like I was still a college football player. Like, and so I'm showing up in my head, and I'm like all excited to meet the guys. Like I'm one of the guys, and these kids show up, and their looks on their faces are looking at me like, oh, you were on the History Channel. I love that, and they got these big googly eyes, and I was like, oh right, like you are children. I'm an old man, and
Because they're
you're
like 17, they're like 19 years old and stuff. They're
no,
huge. It's hard to like,
it's separated. Like in my head, like I had not I'd not made the connection like to how much time had passed,
right.
until you're standing in the office and one of the kids comes up and he's got like big wide eyes and he's telling me how next year he's hoping to enter in the draft. And I
Hmm.
was like, you're a senior? Like, what? You know?
It's
So
crazy. Yeah. There's, and I feel like the opposite. Like, I feel like you probably still have like some connection. Like, you feel like you're like young like that. Dude, I feel like I'm 70 years old and I like it.
my body feels that way, but my insides, like my maturity, my mentality, like people get so annoyed with me with this, but I wake up every day with like a song in my heart and head. I wake up like I'm just happy, and so like I wake up and I'm whatever the beat of the day is, and I walk out into the living room, and immediately Artemis, and she's like I really feel like a rock star when I come out in the morning. And then like from there forward, like I'm singing and playing and like around my little kids, and it feels natural for me to be like, making up silly rhymes and like the things parents do where you repeat things over and over so the kid can practice saying the word and stuff like that. So like um I think it's yeah, it's both ways. Like I wake up and I'm like, I gotta loosen this up a bit, but I also feel like a child. Maybe I in totality I am an abused child. That's what I. If you had a nice 12-year-old that you'd beaten down pretty rough, that's really where I'm at.
I don't think abused child wake up with like nice rhymes in their head though.
maybe maybe the abuser's like not there that day. It's like it's candy day or something.
Before you said that, I was gonna say it sounds like you live life like a cartoon character, but I guess basically
That's
walking
even
around like
better.
Winnie the Pooh, like, oh, we're gonna
Yeah,
go get some honey. Like that's what it sounds like
yeah,
to me.
it's nice. It's nice, man. The craziest thing about it is like I used to be super anal about like we're gonna get up tomorrow. We're gonna do this thing first. I always planned out like I'm gonna drink this much water while I stretch and I breathe for this much time, and then I'm gonna do this, 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 and I had it lined out. And now I wake up and it's just like, what are the babies doing? It's like I bounce around off on kid mode all day. I love it. I love it.
That's
It's
awesome.
definitely keeps me young at heart.
Yeah, staying in the moment. It it did happen like when we would travel together doing competitions and stuff. I'd be like doing this, and you'd be like, "Why are you still working? Like doing seminars? Like you're like just chill. We don't have to be there yet. Like we
Yeah.
show up 30 minutes late for our own seminar, and you don't care at all." I'm like, they're not going to email you. That's the thing.
Yeah. The, I don't know what it is. I grew up. My parents literally didn't care if I went to school. So like,
Yeah, same
I
here.
would, I would wake my dad up to give me, or no, my dad would be getting ready to go to work, and he would kind of be like eggy. Like if you're not from the Bay Area, eggy means like grumpy. So like he would kind of be eggy about taking me to school. Like he'd be like, "Oh, okay, get in the truck," And it's like I got to this place in my life where I realized like all there's a lot of things that really, really, really matter. Like I should have taken the SATs, but there's also a lot of things that people stress out. Like I've got a buddy who, when we go to the airport, oh my gosh, he's a military dude, and so like the flights we're leaving at 4:44 a.m. If we're not in the car at 4:44, we can't let the car warm up for 2 minutes. So 4:46, we're on the road, and then like it starts at that and it escalates the whole time. So like you get there. Have you ever gone smoothie at a airport where they didn't have to change the ticket or talk about the weight of the bag? Like that all is normal. And for him, it's like one thing after another and after another. And then like every day, halfway through the day, it's like he's exhausted from hating the world, you know? So like uh, to me, but it's not like all good. Like I definitely shouldn't show up late to my seminars. You know, I'm not saying that part's good, but I have this developed mentality from the way I grew up that like I never panic until I do panic, and then it's really bad.
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to have a little bit of carefree in life. I don't know. You probably won't believe it, but I've gotten more that way, especially in the past year and a half, I'd say. But it was more like out of necessity,
Yeah.
just because like what I have to deal with to keep everything good with my kid.
Mhm.
I can't worry about my own. Like I can't be up in that like this isn't done, this isn't done. Like when I can't sleep at night due to anxiety, it's gonna screw up his anxiety. So like I had to figure all that stuff out in my head and calm it down a little bit. And I have gotten better, like where I drop him off and I come home and I'm like, okay, I got to work and I got to get this much done. I'm like, no, just go get on the exercise bike for 15 minutes. Like you're gonna waste 15 minutes
Yeah.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Like so,
No,
it's like just get that done to start.
yeah.
Or like I'll like try to let myself. My wife tells me to. I'm like I'll sit like we live kind of like up on a hill and it looks down and got like a rocking chair right there. And sometimes I'll just sit down there for a second. Then like one of the dogs will come on me, and I'm like, God damn it! It's like it feels nice. It's all cuddly and it's like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, I got to get back up. And I'm like, why? Like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like just look, like there's the winds going through the trees. Like
Yeah.
you got to enjoy it.
Probably good for you is like, move somewhere slow like Tennessee or something. Sit back and have a porch, space, place to look at. Probably be a better walk of life than that.
Y'all swing that by, Candace.
You could probably find a good place easy.
My cost
For
of
those of
living.
you who don't know, Kale has already done this. He moved to Tennessee and now he's back in California.
So you can't give me any shit from that because you move from somewhere to somewhere like
Oh yeah,
every
no. I'm not
18
giving you
months.
shit for that. I just thought it'd be funny if I made a suggestion of something you already did.
You know
No.
what?
I'm the worst at that. No, I think I'm pretty steady now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to buy a big property in Texas where I could have Atlas's mom on that property as well.
Also,
That's
you want to be like Elon Musk. You
Elon
just want
Musk
like a
has
compound.
does he have a compound with
He's
his
building
mom
one
on
with
it?
like with his like 13 children and like all their moms and stuff.
Really?
I think so.
I never heard that, but something like that, I guess. Yeah. I mean, a lot less. Like I don't think I'd get 13 in there. I'm good. I'm good with sex and my current girl now who's my baby mama. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Us.
But yeah, there's some weird. I feel like right after, like when you're in that, especially like first kid, and like how we both grew up, like everything was so unstable. So I moved when Sterling was like a year and a half, and you're like right in that baby mode, and you're like, how am I going to survive all this? Like I feel like you feel like that. You're like, I need to make. I see other people doing it now. I see people, they had a baby and they've lived somewhere for like their whole life or 20 years. They move all the way somewhere else. They're like, this is where it's safe and it's going to be okay. Like, I think, so my advice is if you just had a baby, just
That's
like,
kind of what you did, though, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And now I
Yeah.
see other people do it. And I'm like, I think it was more like you're like in this like resource hoarding, like panic mode
Yeah.
because you can't get anything done for yourself when you have like a small child, really. And you're like, I need to be somewhere where like I could just like mow grass and be able to pay my mortgage or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So I'm saying like don't make crazy moves when when like until a kid's like 3. Like you start if you want you can figure out where you want them to live like before they start going to like grade school, I think. But like that
Yeah.
like
For me, I moved a lot as a kid, and then we stopped at like right before junior college or junior high school.
mm,
And so right now, like that's what I'm saying. Like, for Atlas, Atlas is for custody stuff. So just when you have split parents, the dad doesn't get to see the kids at all, like during school year, unless you live right there with them. So
yeah.
um luckily, Atlas' mom and I get along really well, and we decided that to make it to where we're actually getting quality time and everything, we're doing homeschool right now. And I'm not going to keep him in homeschool for a long time though, because I want him to have normal experience, be around other kids and all that stuff. But for right now, while we're figuring out where she's going to be and how we can get her closer, like it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
so
It's
fucking
close
cool.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
if I was in a situation like that, like I'd live wherever I had to. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't care if like I enjoyed it or whatever. Like
yeah.
and
That's
that's
why I
kind
came
of
to
the
Idaho.
yeah,
Like
I
I
would.
really was not happy about it at first.
Oh,
I was not happy about coming to Idaho, and luckily, like it's a cool spot. Like I'm finding more and more cool people. It's different like than anywhere else I've ever lived. Like coming from Santa Cruz, I'm used to like hippies and wild people, and then like traveling around. We lived in Reno and Vegas and all this different stuff as a kid, and then now like I lived in Texas for a couple years before coming out here, and it was just super culture shock. Like like I thought going to Arkansas as a kid was like a culture shock. Idaho's its own place, man. It's crazy. Like you can have a decent sized city like this, but we're not in Utah, and yet the conservative religious percentage of people is so big that you like over 1 million people in this town, and there's never a comedy show or anything here. You know what I mean? Like that's like a weird example. It's just something I think about a lot, but like it's just its own thing. It's like it's a very different place. There's nowhere like Idaho, like anywhere else. Texas is not like Idaho, and
no. Yeah,
more I really start to like it.
we've traveled all around and it's yeah, Texas is its own thing.
Yeah, and Texas is really 5 different states,
It
man.
is. And that's
Like
how California is too.
Houston,
That's what people don't understand about California.
yeah,
Like,
California
we're
for
both
sure.
from California. We're from rough. You know what's weird about us is we didn't know each other at all growing up, but we're like 5 miles away from each other and
Right?
about the
Yeah,
same age,
the
and
two white dudes in the whole whole area.
doing like basically the same thing. I'm like, I used to make money doing this, and you're like, I used to make money doing this, and I'm like,
Saying that because we made money doing bad things.
I'll talk all about it at a later time. I don't care, but like, just like, but still like, and like that, like where I live, like where I lived, like kind of is on the border of like we're getting super local. Like you can go, it's like the same distance to get to Santa Cruz, California, as it is to get to Monterey. But like life is so different between those two, like the
Ooh,
culture and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
But it's like if you looked on a map, it'd be totally similar. And like I'm a stuffy Monterey person now, like and
yeah.
Obi's a hippie Santa Cruz
I'm a
person.
Santa Cruz style person, probably. Yeah,
But like um and it's like, but people talk about they're like, oh, how can California this, and I'm like, dude, like Los Angeles is its own thing, neighborhood to neighborhood. It's so
yeah.
big, people don't understand. Then there's like people in California live on like, and then the Central Valley is its own thing. Like you live
Yeah,
there
or the northern, like
or
up
towards
in
Eureka and
all that stuff.
yeah,
And telling me San Diego, San Francisco, Fresno, and Chico, like those are different places.
yeah.
Very different.
Dude, I remember when I was in Tennessee talking to these Tennessee people because they're all into hunting and stuff. I'm like, oh, you'd love this in California and stuff, and the looks they'd give me. They're like, you know what this one guy told me? I was at like this one family barbecue. He went, "Nah, you couldn't do it. We got smart deer out here." I
I'll
was
tell you,
like, "What do you mean?"
that is hilarious to hear. But the truth, there is a little truth to that. Like deer who are around hunting areas tend to be much more timid or like elusive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there is. I mean, dude, like
It's not that they're smart. It's not like these deers went to Harvard and California deer all like drinking 40s or something. You know?
Oh well, first off, he didn't even believe we had deer because like California is such a like liberal hellscape, right? And I'm like, everyone I grew up with hunted,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like there's like nature. Their hunting's big out here.
My buddy in Corralitos has got a really sick. There's a place. It's kind of like a club, like a golf club,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to go out there and you could shoot targets or different things like that. But they have tons of property where you get to hunt, and he gets a deer every year.
Yeah, there's all kinds of places like that. Or at least there used to be. I think stuff like that dries up because land gets more. Corralitos is like property values are crazy compared to.
Well, he lives in Corralitos. He didn't have the hunting spot.
Oh right, yeah, it's probably more south.
Yeah, it was. You know what? You know where the between Santa Cruz and that reservoir when you're headed over to the valley, the big reservoir. It was between there, like over towards
Pacheco and stuff.
All that stuff.
Yeah, but like actually, it wasn't deer. He said are smart. He said that we have smart coyotes. Like he's like, you try to catch a coyote out here, and I was like,
coyotes are the same everywhere. I think.
I know they're smart. Like they're running around L.A. They're like people don't understand. Like L.A. like
every major city. You know that?
Yeah,
coyotes are in every major.
They're everywhere.
City. Crazy. I love coyotes too. By the way, like that when I did my peyote ceremony in the Black Rock Desert. A coyote's the one that guided me. So, like, to me, I love coyotes. I hate when people shoot them. It hurts me.
Yeah. Out in Corralitos, the coyotes tried to take my wife's dog. They, like, tried to lure him out. You remember? Like a pack of them?
No, I don't remember this.
Oh, no, but, like, I was saying you remember
the dog. Yeah. Dog. I got a sick picture of me and him on a boat.
Yeah, he's a cool dog. But like, and he in his mind, he's like a little like rat terrier. He's like, I'll fuck that coyote up. So he had to run, out to like a field, like, and then there was like 10 of them right there. Like,
that's what they're doing. They're luring him out, huh?
Uh-huh. And she like snatched him up somehow. We got him this vest. It's like yellow with all these spikes and stuff on it. It's supposed to be a coyote vest.
Yeah.
And he was such a little monster. You put that on him, and then he'd be like, it's like you put like armor on him because you basically did, but he knew. Then he'd go up to their dog and just like run his like spikes into him and stuff. I'm like, hey.
He was a beast, man. That was a cool dog. He was chill too, like on the boat and stuff. He'd be like chill with you,
Yeah. No, but then like he'd see a bird and he'd just like jump 20 feet and try to go kill it in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're chill.
Good boy.
But my point was, like, I'd talk to these people and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, well, no, I like doing this. Or, like, I've talked to people from Idaho before. They're like, I could never, move there because I like doing this and that. I'm like, that lifestyle's anywhere. Like, whatever lifestyle you like, it's somewhere in California. It might be more expensive.
Way more, but yeah. But
it's there. Like,
the only difference is, as far as, like, hunting stuff, is there's, like, a couple calibers, or like you can't have as many cases of ammunition, or like you have to be locked up different or whatever. So yeah,
you can't just go down to a river. Like when I lived in Tennessee, there was a river right there, and this like toothless like grandma took her 4 grandchildren in like a Ford Explorer that was like rusting apart, opened it up, and it looked like a militia was in the back, and they just shot guns down the river because you can for like 3 hours, like a war zone. Like you can't do that, but like
I did that in California.
I did too.
If you get up in the mountains in SLV, you can do whatever you want.
That's true. This was like a subdivision. That's the difference. You don't have to go to the mountains. You could be like next to like like upscale subdivision like we moved to that like every house was like an acre, 3 acres, but I'm like, well, people don't understand. Like when I lived in Tennessee, that was the most suburban I've ever lived in my life. I lived in the country in California. Like we had like 3 acres, but like they're like, you built your fence wrong. I'm like, what are you talking about with regulations? Like you built your fence wrong. I'm like,
So ridiculous.
so,
Homing. What's that called? Like where you have to like pay
yeah, CCNRs and stuff or HOAs.
HOA. That's what I was trying to
There was
remember.
no HOA, but they had like what are called like CCNRs, like community, code regulation or whatever.
Yeah, all the same thing.
But what was good about there, which I should have stated, is like the name was like a person in their last name that like they owned all that land and they built that subdivision to like and they still kept like the 1,000 acres over here or whatever, and they just like built a house for this person, but like the last name was the same name. It was like the sheriff was from that family, so if anything ever went wrong on that street, oh man, was it fixed quick.
Nice.
Like if there's a tree down, like they repaved. I lived there for like 8 months. They repaved the road like 3 times, I swear. Like
Yeah, when you're connected in a place like that, like
it must be
you
nice.
that I was trying to tell you over text. There's there's a family in Carolina, South Carolina, that's like the lawyers that have run the town forever, and they made this huge documentary on Netflix about it. And maybe we'll talk about it next time. I'll look it up and then we'll talk about it next time. But yeah, that stuff, you know, everywhere is different, man. And like in California, you got to deal with like the rich kid whose mom's got way too much power, and then in Tennessee, you got to deal with the toothless grandma who's related to the sheriff, whose cousin's mother.
So
Like
that's the thing is those. I'd rather deal with the toothless grandma all the time. The people I didn't want to deal with out there were the people that dress nice with collared shirts. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
The
mean, that
the
tends to be the way everywhere. Like,
I
think about
know.
your job when you used to test soil samples.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
wouldn't you way rather just go up to a dude in the field and be like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" Da da da, rather than go deal with the guy in the suit.
every time. So it's the same. It's the same thing with the old families. Like I used to work in agriculture, and this is like right at the end. I'm like, I want to get out of this world. I want to get out of this job, and like this is South County. This like there's nothing South Monterey County, a little south of where we are. Um, it's just fields. That's all there is. Um, and like it's hot. It'd be like 104 degrees, and I'd have to like walk. I walked like 10 miles a day, like back and forth through these fields. I had to test them, all this crap. And like, I remember this one, there's like 3 families that own everything there, and they've owned it since like since there was anything.
Yeah,
And like, it's crazy when I drive down the highway to what?
Driscolls and Martinellis.
No, those people are okay compared to these people.
I love them. They're my Watsonville peoples.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, there's a difference because those are like fruit and like and stuff. It's a whole different world than the people that grow like the lettuce that we call row crops. Like they're just growing spinach and all that. And like, cause we're getting too tangent on that, but like the row crop people, they're mean because I feel like they had like some resentment that they have everything and they're rich, but they still have to live in South County instead of being able to like live in Monterey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
they're not living in like the ritzy areas.
No, it's like
a family like that owned fields and stuff and had a really nice house in a shitty area, and pretty similar vibe.
Yeah, it's like so they always are like a little angry. It seemed, but then like I would then when I started that job, I worked with the people that grow grapes. Those people are chill. People that just grow wine.
It seems like a chill thing, right? Like if you're growing grapes and have a winery or whatever, you got to be low key.
Yeah, because the thing is, they harvest once a year. Row crops like spinach, it's a 3-week thing. So if something goes wrong, like in an hour, it's all screwed. So like, how's your mindset going to be different between you're like setting something up over a whole year versus it's like quick? like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy, and this was when I was all geared up and like I'm getting ready for like nationals and I'm crazy and I'm just like, okay, 2 more hours I can get off work and I'm gonna go deadlift and I have this number set in my head and I'm nuts. And I'm just walking around with that energy, like,
Yeah.
and he just stops me. He's like, and this guy drove around a G-Wagon Mercedes through fields, through the mud, like
Yeah.
white leather, like it's caked, like no, like, which good for him. I would have done, like, that's the move, right?
Right. I mean, it's funny that he has to have that in the mud, like, you know.
That's what they're for, really. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I don't think a white one's for that. But
yeah,
yeah.
but he didn't care.
To
And like,
me, when I see someone do that, I'm like, what an asshole. you
yeah,
know?
dude, I'd see him like up on a ridge top and it just like all sideways about to go off the cliff, like
Oh
all the
my
time.
goodness.
I'm like, you're crazy. Like, just stay. You don't even have to be out here anymore. Like, he's the grandfather of this whole family, but you just
Right.
can't let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, and I'm like walking. So I park first, I see he's there and I'm like, oh, it's never good. I park my truck. I'm going to go do like what I need to do in that round. And he's like, he just puts his hand up. He's on the phone in his air conditioned G-Wagon, puts his hand up, rolls his window back up. And he's just like, wait a second. It makes me stand out. It's 103 degrees for like 10 minutes. He ends his phone call and he's like, what are you up to today? I'm like, oh, I'm just, walking your fields, getting the samples. He went, huh? He's like, that's what you're doing? I'm like, yeah. He called my boss. I got chewed out. He's like, he just didn't really seem really appreciative of that job he's doing out there. And I'm like, what do you want me to say?
You didn't seem appreciative of what you were doing?
No, I didn't seem to
Oh,
appreciate that
you
I
didn't
have
seem
that job.
appreciative. Well, people that work in that industry, man, there's a lot of craziness that goes on, and
That's crazy.
a lot of people work for nothing, and they're very grateful for it. So, like, maybe he, changed over the years into like, oh, you should be grateful for this little bits that you get, like sitting in his G-Wagon.
It was a bit of that, and the fact that like, dude, like, you're putting off when you're in contest prep.
Yeah.
You're putting off an energy.
But you're taking a little blame. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I just walked around like people would just want to fight you sometimes. Like it's like your pheromones are different. Like, Yeah. So I probably looked like I had an edge. Like outward, like me, I know I'm like this, I'm keeping calm. I kept calm like that, but you're still projecting it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I seemed hot, and I'm like got forearm veins everywhere, basically look like Wolverine, like. And I think people like that, they just don't like when someone seems like I'm obviously supposed to be less than him, right?
Right.
But then you're jacked. You're like, you're presenting like something. They're like, I don't like that this guy has anything else going on in his life.
Yeah.
Which is the whole reason I got fired in the first place, because they're like, why are you doing other stuff? But we'll talk about that one another day. But what it all comes down to, that's something we talked about a lot with talking about this, is, all our problems in society are really up versus down.
Up versus down. Yeah.
It's not left or right.
Yeah, it's something we always get back to. It's like, if you follow the money, it's like the red and blue disappears. It's like
once
green,
it comes to money, it's all green.
No green. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, yeah. I mean, right now, I guess we'll get a little into this stuff. I don't know a ton about what's going on, unfortunately, and I it is crazy to see, like, are we in World War III? Are we like just not saying it? Like,
globally?
Like it seems like we're fighting Syria and Russia right now, right? Like,
yeah, and a Cold War with China, basically.
Yeah, and then who knows when that'll escalate? But it just seems like, almost like there's no control over any of that stuff. Like there's definitely no clarity. Like clarity. It. I mean, there's certain things that you can look up and figure out, but like it just it does not seem. I'll say this is an easy way to say something honest. I think if you were to grab 1,000 or 100 normal people around America, almost all of us would be like, yeah, we kind of don't want to kill anybody anymore. We don't want to be like murdering for whatever the reason is, and usually ends up coming back to money. Like pretty much exclusively comes back to money. You know, I think that's what sucks about being an American citizen right now. Is like I don't think we're as separate as they keep telling us we are. I think we definitely disagree, but like the truth is the stuff we do agree on doesn't get done. You know, everybody thinks that their grandma should have medical care.
Yeah, no one wants to get your family and then you by proxy go medically bankrupt.
Yeah,
Like
that's. I think I was listening to a pod. I can't remember if that was the number one or number two cause of bankruptcy in
I
this
think it's
country.
one.
Medical debt.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that definitely came to a tipping point in this right now this past week.
Medical debt. Oh yeah. You finally see the video?
No, but you see they caught Luigi, handsome man, huh?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I do him still, but okay. Here's the conspiracy on this. Look at the photos. Like, have you seen at least the photos of him? Like, he went to Starbucks before he blasted this guy. By the way, he got like a caramel macchiato.
The
Like,
most American thing ever.
bro, this dude's a badass. He's got a six pack. Went to Ivy League school. Could fuck
He's
any girl
rich.
he wants, and still like goes and blasts some dude. Like it. I'm obviously joking. This is a comedy podcast. I don't think shooting someone's cool.
But you
But
understand it.
so this is the thing. You look at the photos of this guy at the Starbucks, right? And he's like smiling, talking. Then you look at the photos they have of them zoomed in where he's got like his face covered before he shoots the guy. I don't want to sound crazy, but when you look at those photos, you look at his eyebrows. His eyebrows, like yours, like mine, like they have a separation. They're very normal. Then you look at his eyebrows in the photos they take when they arrest you, bro. Totally different. Like he's got bushes that are almost a unibrow.
That's just called being Italian.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
two
only been
days.
a couple days. It's only been a couple days.
That's called being Italian.
I guess, man. Poor dude. If he's got to pluck and wax his eyebrows that often, that like he went from like your eyebrows to like crazy, like wild scientist man eyebrows in I think it's like 2 days.
So I'm going to add your conspiracy on this. If he has to pluck his eyebrows that often, how did he ever get his chest that hairless for that photo?
That hairy,
Hairless, like he's
hairless,
shaved,
yeah. I
tan.
think this guy waxes for sure. For sure.
He must
He's
have
got
just
wax.
waxed then. He's on a trip. That wax isn't going to last if his eyebrows going that fast.
Tell the truth, bro. This is your moment. Like this is the photo that's going to live forever. And you waxed for the killing, but not the photo. Come on. His eyebrows, like it's gnarly. Plus, if you look at his chin in the two photos next to each other, I don't know, man. It is very possible that there's some CIA dude that did it, and now that they're pawning it off on some other random guy. Like that's not impossible, but I'm sure I'm sure it is him. I'm sure. Like they have a backstory that I don't know if it was his back or his mother's back. Somebody's
His
back.
back. Yeah, he
Surgery.
like hurt it surfing or like some cool guy thing. Like, oh, my vertebrae's messed up from all those waves I got. Like,
Are you making this up? Or are you?
oh,
Oh, no, that's real.
I think something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was some kind of surgery thing, but yeah, I don't know what this means other than the fact that like that's just like a timestamp for where we are. I don't think I tried really hard to think of like, like what this could mean or what maybe people could learn from it or anything. Like I try and think like that. Like I do my best to, at least. And looking at this, man, like I don't see it as anything other than a like, this is December 2024. Like this kid with the world at his palm, like Ivy League education, valedictorian, fucking so sexy. Kale literally is playing with his wiener right now under the table. Hands up. So like this kid had everything. And if and all the stuff that we know is real or whatever. So like if that's real and he got driven to doing something to give up his entire life like that.
It is interesting because it shows, like you said, it is kind of a timestamp of showing where the culture is, where our society is, where whether you agree with it or not, there's people from all backgrounds are like, I don't like the idea of someone getting shot in the back of the head, but like you kind of get it. You're like, this is wrong and nothing is getting fixed by anyone. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. It's all feeding the money machine. It's all feeding the corporations. Like, and you're kind of like, something needs to happen.
Yeah. It may not be the right thing, and we're not condoning it. It's not like we agree with it, but like you got fire, stuff gets hot. Like,
yeah. Especially if you're like, if that people keep saying there's a fire, and everyone's like, it's not that bad. Like that's kind of how the political message is.
Mostly peaceful.
The economy is good. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, you guys are so stupid. You don't even know how well we're doing right now.
I know. Talk about bad messaging. Like it doesn't matter if something is good or not. But like I'll stick on that guy. Like what's interesting to me about it is, like, you listen to like some people on Fox News, and then I listen to some liberal podcasts, and no, not you. I'm saying someone does.
Oh, I thought you were doing you listen to Fox. I like MSNBC. We mix it together, it makes orange.
But let's say, like, you see like the same people that are like obviously like wealthy commentators going, we should never, it's wrong that people are celebrating this on the internet. I'm like, dude, like, obvious, if you're fine, you're not gonna get it. Like, these are all people that if they had a medical problem, they're like, that sucks, but they're fine.
Yeah.
But but then other people are like, yeah, this ruined my aunt's life. This ruined my, like I think about it all the time. I'm like, what if I like broke like my leg? Like I wouldn't be able to pick up my kid from school. My wife would then have to like, dude, like I'm screwed. Like
we talked about this on the Lost episode briefly.
Yeah. Like, so it is
accident away from really having a fucking scare of a lifetime.
Yeah. New tires on your truck.
Yeah.
Like, I think people really need to realize this. And even him, like, he has a wealthy family. They own like nursing homes or something. And he realized he's so much further away, even being able to live the American dream. If you read like some of like his, stuff he's put online, his, he was a big reader. He always he's leaving reviews for books everywhere. Like, so there's a lot of stuff there. Like, I think even he realized like he has it all set, and he's like, but even someone at that level is still so far away from the corporation CEO billionaire class. Like you're closer to us.
World
like,
away. Yeah. You're a couple mistakes away from being us, and you're going to have to get handed the ladder to get up there,
And, it's interesting. We talked about in the Lost episode that we both grew up poor, and we did in the way that like, we didn't feel like things were settled, but like my family's not like been a bunch of peasants my whole life, I don't,
which is like fucking when I was in Africa, I was like, I don't think I could survive this kind of like poverty, you know?
Yeah.
We were
No.
American poor, which means we were doing pretty damn good.
Well, my point is like a few generations in my family ago, they were very well off, right? And that's a whole crazy history. But like basically, my great grandfather like started.
Now to be amongst the plebeians. What
Yeah,
do you
I've
guys
fallen from
call
grace, so it
what
can
do you guys
happen.
call the people who aren't Jewish again? It's like not goiters. Yeah, it's goiter, right? Goiter? Goiter?
Yeah, something like that. But this isn't even my Jewish side.
Yeah. Oh, not even your Jewish side?
No,
God, can't even be racist. Not even racist. It's like religionists.
but like they were like people in my name still like they set up trusts that like still donate to all these places in San Francisco. They were like high society like San
So they're
Franciscanites.
donating to San Francisco Trust while you guys don't get any money at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
But like but like so like I was on like both sides of the world all the time. Like I swear like in my childhood, one day I would be at a cockfight and then the next I'd be at like my aunt's house in Marin, like that has like an antique store that she just runs for fun, and she like the house ended up selling for like $10 million once she died. You know what I mean? Like not like less than that, but like
Nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Marin
like
County's nice.
yeah. I loved going to that house. It looked like a museum, but like but then like the next day I'd just be like running around in the dirt of like Las Lomas, going like betting on cockfights with my stepdad. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Both sides of the coin for sure.
so, and
For
it's
this
like
kid, man, like you have to think you can't he does not the one thing you can't attribute to him is the like didn't know what he was doing. This kid's smart. Like
yeah,
Ivy League valedictorian, probably got a big old hog on him. I don't know if that's good or bad. I just want to say it.
it's going to help with the privilege. He's got
You're right. You're right. He's gonna be much more popular now. That's probably how he threw his back out, carrying around that big old dingus. That guy, man. For him to like, that's a big thing for a kid to have like the whole world like that and be like, you know what, like
this
what
still doesn't work.
is worth giving up everything. I mean, he's like got to be 22, 23, like
26.
26. Yeah, okay. Like that guy, he's got a long time before he starts to look ugly and people start treating him like a human, you know? Like,
Yeah, you should have seen me at 26.
yeah. Shit, me at 26. No, I was
um
way back then. I'm getting more handsome as I age, but it doesn't mean I'm turning handsome. It just means I'm losing a little of the craziness around me, I think. But
have you seen his lawyer yet?
no, no, no.
Tell I want we'll talk about it next time. I want you to go look up clips of the guy he disposed as his lawyer and tell me like that should have been what I feel like that's what I should have been doing. I should be like an old lawyer like that guy. I think I'm gonna get my law degree.
All you got to do is show up in the courtroom dressed up nice and have like a chain with the Star of David, and they'll let you in. Like this guy's the shit. Yeah.
That's how this guy is, and he's like just cracking jokes the whole time, like some of these press conferences and stuff. It's good.
He's cracking jokes when he's
The lawyer.
oh my gosh. There's there's got to be some kind of crazy precedent about his trial too. Like you got to think this is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's got the most denials of how I don't know how it is. They deny more people than
Like
most
more
other.
claims, yeah. It's like 37% of claims they deny, which is like double
I'm
the
sure.
next one or something.
Yeah, double, more than double or triple. You say?
Roughly. Let's just say
Yes. So
we're
they're
bullshitting here.
denying. They're definitely causing a lot of drama, and so his lawyer probably has a lot more of a case because of that, and it's going to be interesting to see. That's how law speaks, policy adapts. So something happens, and all of a sudden, like this kid doesn't get in as much trouble because of the circumstance or something, all the other people running these corporations are gonna probably take note, like get security. Like,
Yeah, it's I saw
going,
there was like a San Francisco Chronicle. The headline was the effects of this are just going to show what the cost is going to increase for security of CEOs, and I'm like, or you could just help people, like,
yeah, they definitely they're not gonna do that, but like at the very least, the security is gonna cost the CEO. But at least they can't be like, we're taking that out of your fucking taxes. That's what happens all the time. It's like,
but it
oh,
still will
we
eventually. It's
fucked
going to
this
raise
up,
the
we spent
cost.
this money wrong, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna take your taxes and we're gonna fix it. And then like 2 years later, like, well, we didn't know that was gonna happen, but we're gonna fix it. We got
Yeah,
just a little bit more taxes and we're gonna fix it.
and the taxes are always going to be on you and me.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying. The one silver lining there was you said more expensive for CEOs. I don't need security. I don't need nothing.
You don't think, but they're going to raise prices if they have to
Oh
pay
yeah,
another
for
$2
sure.
million
It never
dollars.
goes on. Yeah. You're right. I
They're
like
not going to. That's got to come from somewhere.
it always does. It always does. Anybody, the haves don't let like the piece come out of their pie. Like
Never.
if you own properties and you tax cuts don't happen or like rent goes up or whatever, it's not like the owner of the building in New York's like, oh well, your rent will stay the same and I'll just eat that extra money. No,
It doesn't matter if it's 50 cents. It never happens.
never.
There's like, it's so uncommon that there's like three companies that do that. Like Costco's like, we will not raise hot dogs. And everyone's like, that's the best person in the world. There's like two examples, like the Arizona iced tea, you know?
I
Yeah.
don't even I don't even want to get like dive into them because like I don't want to find out stuff I don't like about
No, they're
Costco.
good.
That's so much.
Costco is like, as far as ethical companies go, is like towards the top. Like they got like a new CEO like came in and like, "Oh, we should really raise the price of hot dogs," and the owner was like, "I'll kill you.
I
You are
heard
not."
about
Yeah,
that. I
so
heard about
like, so it's just stuff like that. Like they're like, and they, overall they pay their employees well. Of course, they always have problems. They're still a for-profit company,
of course.
but
Yeah.
like, uh, I just think it's interesting that it sparks a conversation. Um, Someone had to die, but someone dying sparks lots of conversations. It doesn't matter if a police kill someone, if there's a war somewhere. It's just that's a thing that's about our society is like it takes like something crazy happening for people that think they disagree on everything to like talk to each other and be like, oh, you don't like that either,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. It's not
Right.
good that like
It's not good that he's dead. Yeah.
but
It's guy. He had a family, but as you're saying, like it is sparking a conversation. And the truth is, man, something nobody needs to get executed in the streets. This is
no,
America. This is not fucking Libya. So like we definitely it's embarrassing that our country has allowed it to go so far that like we said, literally a kid with the world in his palm just gave his life away, right there on the streets of Manhattan, 6:45 a.m. And like that's only going to become more and more common. Like we have to do something to where the have-nots aren't so far down. Like
yeah, that's
we
just
have
great.
to we make too much as a country. Like we're very, very Atlas and I pray every night. And last night I made a very specific point to thank God so much that we were born here. It was like we could have been born anywhere. We could be working in mines. There's kids younger than him that dig out cobalt mines right now. There's open air slave markets in Libya. Like you can see them outside.
Mhm.
So,
No,
for
we're
us
we're
to not take care of those people just out of like it's a choice. Like we've chosen to leave people behind. And that's like That's the thing that's got to change.
Yeah, the transfer of wealth keeps increasing and increasing, and the disparity on how people live in this country is getting more and more. Like, there's just
How
the
much do
fact,
you have
like,
to make to be middle class?
huh?
How much do you think? We've talked about this. How much do you think you have to make to be middle class?
I think so. I think a lot of people think they're middle class, and they're not even. They're like halfway there.
Yeah,
Where I am, I think you need to make at least 250,000.
where you are. Yeah,
Oh, so this is interesting. Actually, I saw a thing. They asked different generations and like compiled them how much they think to be well off, how much you need to make per year. They asked boomers. They said $100,000.
right.
Gen X said like 225. I guess Gen X is doing well. Seems like if they think like,
Yeah,
the millennials went down to like like average like 176. And then get this. What do you think Gen Z thought? How much you have to do?
the
What?
youngest,
Yeah.
probably 300,000.
600.
Yeah,
So
but they also don't understand the numbers. Have you got a generation of kids who, instead of their dad working, pipes or mechanic or whatever, that like made 80,000 a year, and they had all the toys at Christmas that they wanted and
yeah.
all that. They went from generations like that to now mom and dad both work all the time, and like, maybe if you're lucky, both of them work and you get your Christmas presents, right? Like, it seems more like the more common thing is both work, and not that we don't have anything, but we are on edge. We're tight and on edge, and
Yeah.
that's a whole different way to grow up. And then when you look at inflation numbers, like, so like, you have $100,000 and in the bank, and if you had that in 2003, you're like, okay, that's some buying power. If you had $100,000 in the bank right now, that's a whole different number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it sucks. Is like, from the way I understand it, inflation doesn't reverse. Like, there's no
It never
fix.
does.
It's just
Well, we'd have to have a giant recession, which is worse.
worse. Yeah, probably like a depression.
Yes.
For for the situation, man, it would be better. Like, it'd be nice if we could be proactive rather than reactive. Like, can we please fix this problem before another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children lose their life? Like, gifted children give their life away after having to watch him suffer, or his family suffer. Like, he's literally the tip of the iceberg of this country. Like, there's that kid, wealthy and doing well, like in Manhattan with a nice freaking North Face jacket. Like, they're not doing bad. Go through West Virginia, go to talk to that toothless grandma in Tennessee right now. Like, there's those people. Sooner or later, they like end up being the ones you got to worry about. Like, the whole idea about a living wage, like the whole idea about what's that called? My brain's blanking.
Like, basic income.
Universal income. Yeah, like, it sounds like this left wing pipe dream to some super conservative people, but that's only because they're not looking at the fact that, like, do you know how much money the billionaires are making now? Like the amount of money they make not only is like absurd, but every day it accrues. So like, today you made $10, tomorrow make $12, the next day you make $24,
It
then
just
it's
compounds.
$46, and it's like, it's compounding and compounding, and it's like, it's only getting more rapid. So like,
Yeah. So
if we
what is?
don't do anything now, that you think in 5, 10 years will those people have everything? Like, there's no fucking way we're gonna get to do anything.
I think they pretty much already do. I don't know if you're able to turn it around. Like,
That's a good point.
I think we're past that point, and people are just starting to realize it. Like, because what happened is we valued capital, assets, so much more than we have labor. Labor's been devalued. Like, since basically the 70s, like we, like you said, like, yeah, someone could have like like some union job somewhere, and like they had a good life. Like, you look at the Simpsons and people are like, oh, look at this like broke family. Like,
But
like when we were kids,
Marge stays home,
yeah, they
you
had a
know, like,
car, they owned
yeah,
their home,
yeah,
like they went on vacations,
yeah. And only one parent working, and like
they had three
that's
kids.
the American dream. That's like the literal dream.
Yeah. I don't feel like I could afford to have three kids right now. Obviously, I don't live in Springfield, Illinois. I chose to live here, but you also like make more money here. Um at least, my wife does. I don't do anything. but
Bastard.
but it's like but like that it's shown that through automation now coming with AI, through corporations, like different regulations being cut and all this stuff. And this is a Democrat and Republicans both did this. Clinton didn't help. Um, that like per worker produces more value today than ever. Like
Yes,
whatever they put out.
paid less.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
that needs to be fixed. Or like you look at like during the pandemic, everyone that was essential, those are the jobs that should be paid. If you had to go to work when everyone else said everyone was, like everything's
And
going to go to
everyone was
hell.
scared what it could be. Nobody
Yeah.
knew.
But you didn't like have a choice.
Yeah.
You're essential to keep society going. Those should be the highest paid things. I
At
should not
least
be.
taken care of. Like
Yeah.
at least maybe if you working at a grocery store, you don't deserve what a doctor gets, but like you got to realize like
They should be
those
able to like
people are
live.
important. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like right now they can't
There's
live.
not a single mother out there who can afford to take care of their family or their one child or multiple children off of one job. I don't. I mean,
No regular job.
that was too bland. Because yes, of course, there's corporation owners, the single mothers that are very wealthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, like a normal job where,
Like something your mom or my mom would have done.
yeah, like if unless she's got a degree and she's even if she has a degree and she like not not senior or whatever, like if you have a degree you still don't make that much money, but like almost everyone now has to have multiple incomes in the house to survive.
Well, even like you or me, we don't have real jobs. But
Right.
like how many not real jobs do we have?
Yeah, a lot.
Like
I accrue new ones as often as possible.
we're trying to do a new one right now.
Exactly.
But like I feel like our parents' generation were just able to they did like one thing and like
Yeah. And it always seemed like it found them. Like,
yeah.
well, Johnny's gonna be a ditch digger the rest of his life, but he'll be wealthy,
But like dude still had a boat.
Yeah, he had a boat. He barbecues every single night. But
He
like,
was able to get 3 DUIs and get divorced 4 times and still own a home.
he's still got a lifted truck. He can't drive it, but it parked there looking good. Yeah,
So,
it's stuff, man. And now it seems like the only jobs where you could do that without like being set up well at the beginning of life. Like you can go work on an oil rig. You can do that. I know people who
yeah.
do that. It's rough and dangerous work, but like that's why a lot of people are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like
you have to.
make over $100,000 a year if you're not educated, classically.
Yeah, there's still opportunities. It just feels like there's less and less and they take more and more.
Yep.
What it seems like to me. Like I even think back to like when I worked in agriculture, I didn't make a lot of money, but like I still lived in California, paid my rent, and this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And like I made like 50 grand a year.
Like nothing.
Nothing.
Especially like for what you were doing. You were working with a big company, like
A
had
global
the
company.
car. They had to call you all the time. I remember like every day it was like a new stress about like it was a real job. That wasn't you
Well,
weren't like and I'm not talking shit. I used to be a busser. I used to do dishes. I used
Yeah.
to do that kind of stuff. What you were doing was different than that.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I wasn't working at McDonald's. Like I needed to know like computer programming for like these files and like I had to fix these weather state, like all kinds of stuff. Like I learned it myself. And like when I got that job, people were like, oh, you got in a good company. But like, and I will say the first like 6 years I worked there, it was easy and good. And the last 2 years, they kept piling stuff onto me to try to get me to quit, basically, which is the other corporate thing. Well,
Yeah.
like, so when you saw they're giving me shit all the time, they basically wanted me, like, they didn't want me to work there anymore. But like, yeah, those jobs like that, like the only, but like I couldn't go, like everyone I knew at that worked there, they bought houses down there, they did that stuff. But like, I feel like I started working there when I was like 21, right? I feel like if a 21-year-old kid like started like in that job, that company now is not going to be able to buy a home in advance in this area.
No, no, not at all. And that's that
That's
area
not even long.
here now too. So Meridian was the number two. I don't know how to word it, so it's exactly. I'm
It's like
actually.
growing.
It had a big population boom
Yeah. Yeah.
during
It's
lockdown,
growing quick.
and it was one of the big ones on the map that grew. And like we got lucky. I got like a good loan. It was when I was making good money, so like it was. We jumped on it at the right time, and then I'm looking and like I got this house. Uh, 20 lockdown was 2020, right? So like 2020, I got this house in, like May or March, something like that.
Right.
2020. It has doubled in value, like almost exactly. And like they're building houses around here, uh, but they're very the lady who I spoke to yesterday was explaining to me they're very specific about the kind of house they build. They're building houses for people that are coming here, not for people that live here. People that live here can't afford the jobs that they have here because the job market hasn't gone to catch up to the population. So now you've got people who are used to living in California paying exorbitant amount of money, and then they come here and it's like, well, my house has doubled in value, but it's still cheap compared to a house in California,
Sure.
like they come here,
It's still a better deal.
snatch up a house, it raises the market, and it starts to change this area into that same situation that's in where we're from. So,
And
it,
and that's and there has been a thing with the internet being able to talk like this with getting anything you want on Amazon is it's like it has like you used to not want to people wouldn't move somewhere because they're like, oh, I can't get this type of jacket in this area or whatever, like so they're going to live in like a fancier area if they have stuff. And it's like now it's like it's kind of, everything's like an even playing field, so it makes sense. It's why I tried to move. um and like I wouldn't be able to, like, I bought this house, we moved back from Tennessee, I got lucky, like everything was crazy, so I didn't lose a bunch of money with that, basically broke even and like whatever. But I bought this house August 2020, right? Interest was cheap. I have a 2.6 interest rate mortgage.
nice.
So like you ain't moving. You have
Yeah,
to pry me out of here. Like
yeah. I'm here. I think I'm at like 2.1 or like I knew
3.1
the
or
guy
something.
was doing them. It was really good.
Yeah, now they're like 6 or 7. So like
They've been at 7 for a long time, but like
just gonna go down.
I'm never coming out of this house.
No,
Like
you
I'll keep
can't.
it. I'll just end up renting it out if I want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to like make enough money to buy something else, but like the loan is so good that like if you give that up, it's such a bad decision financially. Um we got this house and everyone's like, "Oh, you're overpaying," like all this stuff back then, and I'm like, I've learned because the only reason I was able to get it is because we bought a house in 2000, and like I took every dime. I basically like I took everything out of my 401k that I had from like working at that place for 8 years, and we bought a house
Mhm.
in Salinas. It wasn't what we wanted. It was ran down, fixed it up, and made enough money. But like I just think about how lucky little decisions are like to then be able to live like this, which is still hard and still
Right.
barely afford,
Right.
but like still so fortunate compared to the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it's like you look like I couldn't buy the same place today, and that's what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
but like it was like 3 years, it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Crazy.
So we need to build more housing, and
We need to build affordable housing. We also
no
need
one
to
builds a starter home anymore.
say it again.
No one builds a starter home anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where are they building a 2-1? Where are they like? It doesn't exist. They build big houses that someone that already owns a home and has equity can then go buy and move somewhere
Right.
else.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is money makes money, and people who make money see the there's simple little things to do to make money. Everyone knows them. You know all the tricks. Like it's like this is how you do. You get this IRA, you do this thing, you do this, and then once you have that settled, that's your base. Then you start doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
If you're going to build a house, why build it like this when this one makes more money?
Yeah.
What? Why would you hire and pay this person a living wage when you don't have to? Like money makes money.
Yeah, it does. And it's like, but if you can't get that, if you don't have enough extra to put in the IRA, then you're screwed. But if you do, you get ahead. And people just can't get past that hump.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. And
it's
going to come to a tipping point.
Pushed. Like the goalpost has been moved over and over and over. Like me, I thought in my head, I was like, man, I'm fucking rich. I had a savings account. I had like all this stuff. I've never, ever seen that. Never. I didn't have a bank account till I was like 26, 25, something like so to me, I was like, whoa. And it was definitely an awakening to be like, okay, no, you don't get to retire at 36. Like you gotta do things, you know? So it's just to tie it all back to what we're saying. It may be too late, it may not. Like that's something that the universe will tell us as it happens. But like I just freaking hope like our potential as a nation is like so fucking bright. Like we started off with the right, like we talked about this in the last episode, you know, we had people that have definitely a lot of dirt on their name, but they wrote down like just beautiful words, you know, that kind of saved us, set us up to, you know, all men created equal. They didn't act that way, but that's the words they wrote. And so it'd be really, as an American, man, I just would love for us to realize our potential. You know, all men created, treated equal, be fucking great.
And care about each other again, I feel.
Yeah. It's a nationalism that's gone. Nationalism is a dirty word, but it also just means like you're proud of your country. Like
yeah.
you used to be promoted. Like when we were kids, like you said the national anthem and stuff like that. Or you don't have to say that. I'm just saying the idea of nationalism doesn't have to be dirty. It helps you connect. Like after 9/11, LA was full of American flags on every fucking car. Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know, like
again, something terrible happened to spark a discussion. Like it's weird. It's kind of like it feels like it, and like that lasted for a little bit, and then
it lasted with the people. So that's the thing is that us, like as citizens, we were like, man, this is crazy. But in that moment, they were like, oh, maybe we can get off another couple wars with this momentum we got going here. You know, like so like even us right now, this momentum of this guy who was murdered in Manhattan, we could all be like, well, hopefully this really helps, right? But what's going to end up happening is there are going to be new laws about like hiding the names of CEOs and how much they're allowed to take more now. Like it's going to advance them for sure.
Yeah, they can use it to grab more power and take more because it's like because they can act like a victim, which is like they were, but that's a ridiculous statement, you know? Like,
right. Well, it's like 9/11. We were the victims. So like we're going to take they hate our freedom, which is like the dumbest fucking thing to hear. Like I have never, ever in any of my years ever ever once been told, "Oh, you Americans are so stupid with your freedom."
Yeah, we traveled all over the place.
So silly.
But yeah, and about the nationalism, is I feel like when you're talking about nationalism, you're talking about like a hope. There's a pride in that there's hope for everybody, that like you do this, you can get this. Um, when nationalism is used as a bad word, it's used to like push down,
Right.
right?
Whole other
We
thing.
are better, you suck, so we're gonna step on you is how it can be used, like the
It's
same
two sides of
thing.
a coin. Like
Yeah,
with anything, like you could be confident at a strongman show. You could be cocky. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, it was fun talking to you today. Um,
Oh, man.
if you want to help our capitalism, you got some t-shirts for sale, got other stuff.
But before we go, let's give them the email. Let's give them the
Okay,
email. We're Kale and I aren't fucking around. We're gonna
we're
be
gonna
around.
do this.
We're gonna be talking to people. Um, we'd like your guys' input on that, and we've got an email set up. We were hoping you guys, give us, questions, a shout out. You want to flirt with Kale, and you're scared to do it to his face. You can do it over email, like all that stuff. And it's what do we got here, Kale?
It, strongtalkpodcast@gmail.com.
Strong Talk Podcast at
I'll
Gmail.
I'll filter them. We'll answer anything you want to know. The secrets of OB, stuff from our childhood, stuff from our early training, other things.
Anything and everything. If you can ask anything, if we don't want to answer it, we just won't. But like, I mean, we're trying to go deep on this. That's why like we have a lost episode for you guys. That's why we did that. Like we started off really deep, and we're like, all right, we gotta tie this back up a little bit. So, but I promise you, this is going to be the only place you're ever going to hear people say the truth about behind the scenes stuff. You're going to hear somebody whose differing opinions will clash, but we care about each other. So like, this is not as strongman heavy as today seemed, but at least we'll get this one out there. We won't have to hide this episode.
Yeah, we started it off clean. We roped people in with like an hour of strongman talk is perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and just I think we still will talk about some strongman stuff.
Yeah. It's in us. It's in our life, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not annoying people. They probably want us to talk about it more a little, but like we we want to do what we want to do. So like I think the
Yeah.
show's going to be fun because we want to talk about stuff.
And we do want to make it interactive. So I want the questions. That's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I that's the other thing too is I don't think there's not another strength podcast out there where they're going to talk like about what we just talked about to finish, like the last hour of 20-30 minutes we just did, like that's uniquely us. So
Yeah, we're going to go into some class war. We're going to go into some topics here.
Kale's the only person I know who still wrote down Biden on the voting booth at the voting booth. We're gonna have to get into it. We got to get into it.
I did not write Biden.
The fact that he had to say he didn't do it, that's hilarious.
I am probably the only person who ever voted for Bernie Sanders in Tennessee, though.
Oh, man.
All right.
Hilarious.
All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this first episode if you're here this far. God bless you. Great talking to you, Obi.
Strong Talk Podcast at gmail.com.
That's it. Talk to you next week.